Hi there. In this video lesson, we will learn how to set colors using CSS. There are a few ways how to do it. In this lesson, I will show you the 3 ways which are the most popular. You already know how to do the first one. We already talked about that. The first one is when you just specify the name of the color that you want. In some sources you will find there are about 140 or 147 color names that you could choose from. So the number will be slightly different depending on the source. Well, the most common colors, of course, are red, blue, yellow, black, and green. But if you want to get the fullest of all these names, you would just go to the website, this one that you see in the address bar right here. And then, down here, you have a table of all the colors and the different ways you can name them. So the first column here is just the name. So you can use any of these names. In this website, you will find 140 of them. Let's go with gold, for example. Here we have our HTML page. It just says, "Have a nice day." Let's try to change that into a gold color. So here it is in our P paragraph. Then in CSS, for P we just write color and the name gold. Let's save that and see what we've got. As you see, we've got this gold-looking color. It works perfectly. Alright, so actually there are way more than 147 colors. There are something like around 16 million. So obviously, this doesn't cover all the colors that you need. So there's got to be a better way. And the other thing is that, you can remember the standard colors like green, orange, and gray, but the rest of them are kinda difficult to remember. So for that reason, there is a second way to set the color. And it's called the RGB method. RGB stands for red, green, and blue. So basically, any color could be broken down into a combination of these 3 basic colors. So there are 3 channels, the red one, the green, and the blue. And then what we do is that for each of these, we set a value that ranges from 0 to 255. So for example, the white color is a combination of all 3 colors. So to get white, we need to set the maximum 255 for the R, G, and B channels. And so, if we've got red, green, and blue at maximum, we get white. So that's what we've got in the middle, right here. The reverse of that would be if the value of each would be 0. And so, if we've got a combination of 0, 0, 0, it gives us black. Likewise, anything in between of each of the channels has an equal number. That means we're going somewhere between white and black. So for example, if we're going halfway, like 128, 128, and 128, that gives us a gray color, as you see in the center of these 3 colors. Alright, so now let's see how this works in practice. Let's change our color to RGB. So in the parentheses, we're going to write the 3 values separated by a comma. And let's say 255 and then 0, 0. So that's going to give us a red color. Because it's RGB and the first one is red, we gave it a maximum value and the other 2 ones are 0. So if I write 0, and then 255, then 0, well that's going to be green accordingly, right? So in the same way, if I'm going to write 0, 0, and then 255, we get the blue color as you see. And what if I write 255, 255, and then 0? So the maximum values for red and green, and then for blue we've got 0. Well, that's a combination of red and green. So in that case, we get yellow. So let's see. And as you see, we've got yellow. So the third way to write down a color is using a hexadecimal code called hex. This method is pretty similar. It's basically the same as RGB, but the only difference is that it's written in a different format. First we write the number sign, then we have 6 symbols without any spaces. And basically, these are 3 pairs of values. The first one is for red, the second pair for green, and the last one for blue. And 0 in the decimal system is 0 in the hexadecimal system. And 255 in the decimal system is the same as FF in hex. So in other words, any hex pair can range from 00 to FF. So in this video, we won't go into all the details of how to change the value from one system to the other. But the main thing you need to know is that this method is the most commonly used one in CSS. That is, the hex method of writing the color. Alright, so on the slide you can see how white, black and gray are represented in the hex form. So if you need to know the hexadecimal code for any specific color, you can just visit the website that you can see up here. javascripter.net. Here you can put the 3 values that you need for red, green and blue. And then just click Convert to Hex and you're going to get the hex equivalent. Alright, so let's try to apply this to our website. We're going to change RGB to the number sign, and then we're going to add what we've copied before. And as you can see, now the text is purple. Alright, so how do we get red color using hex? Well, we already know that red has the following code in RGB. It's 255, then 0 and 0. So since the first pair of symbols represents red, we're going to write FF, which is the maximum value. Then we don't need green or blue. That's why for the next 2 pairs we write 00 for each. And that's how we get red. And if we want to get yellow, we would need to write the maximum value for green as well. So it would be FF, FF, and 00. Alright, just to sum up everything here. In this lesson we learned 3 ways to set the color on your web page. The first way is just using the name of the color, and there are about 147 of those. Then, the second method is called the RGB method, and the third one is hex. Alright, that's it for this lesson. I'll see you in the next one.